On Monday, Apple had their Worldwide Developers Conference keynote. In this video, I'm going to try to give you the quickest recap possible that I can give you while giving you my opinion regarding the things announced. So let's get to it. Okay, let's quickly start talking regarding iOS 16. The iOS 16, one of the first things that they promoted right out of the gate was a new lock screen. And for those of you who have an Apple Watch, you know that this is not really a new lock screen. They just applied watch faces, they applied it to the lock screen instead. You can now change the font of the time, the date, you can change the color. You can also have, with the last Apple Watch, you can have it if you took a portrait picture, you can have the number show up behind an object. You can do that now the same way as you used to before with the Apple Watch. One of the new options that they announced, which is this thing that now you can make it more personalized. It obviously sounded very familiar in my head, and when I actually kept thinking about it, I realized that it was because it sounded just like Material You that Google announced on their Android systems in 2021. So all Android users want to welcome Apple users to the year 2021. At least we're getting closer, if you want to look at it in a nice way. We're no longer like 5 years behind. Now this is just a 1 year difference and we have it. But then again, there are still a lot of things and it's not as customizable as the Material You system is, which you can change basically everything on the look of the actual system. Anyways, continuing, the new notifications will now show and as a type of roller at the bottom of the screen near the flashlight and the camera buttons. You will now see a sort of roller and you can just scroll around the different notifications because they think that if you have a picture, you don't want all those notifications blocking the view of whichever picture you now have. One of the new features that they also announced is that Now Playing will be able to go full screen. They didn't specify if this was just for Apple Music. I just want to let you guys know. They didn't specify if this was just for Apple Music, but it's still a very interesting feature that now you can just open, it'll show you the album art, and you can pause, increase and decrease the volume, scroll forward or backwards, etc. All the things that you can do without actually having to go inside the app, which is something that at least in third party you did have to go into the actual app to do. So I'm guessing this is more for the actual apps. Anyways, the other thing that they announced was the ability to edit iMessages. If you made a typo, you can now correct that information, and you will even have the option to completely erase a message. Before in the message app, if you erased a message, it was not like in WhatsApp, when WhatsApp gave you the option of just erasing it for your conversation or just erase it in general, or if you were going to group chat, erase it for everybody. Well, now you have that option on iMessage, and I'm sure that considering the things that have been going on recently, there's a particular person that would have liked to have that feature. So I'm pretty sure that person is really happy about Apple adding that feature now instead of before. Anyways, moving on. One of the other things that they announced was that SharePlay will now be coming to Messages. So instead of you having to make a FaceTime call with all your friends and add them all in order for you guys to be able to watch something together, now you will be able to watch something and text. So it's a feature. I honestly don't get the point. I mean, if you're watching something, you don't want to waste your time reading and writing back, but it's an option. So anyways, the other thing that they added, this I do think it's a nice feature. You know, stickers are what's in now. It's no longer GIFs. It's now stickers. So if you have a picture, they use the example of a dog. You can just keep pressing on that object and you will be able to paste it into a message, so you will automatically create a sticker. So, you know, making stickers easier. That's you guys got to be really careful now that you take the perfect picture, because if they get you in a wrong way with a picture, your face is becoming a sticker. So you can almost guarantee that. Anyways, one of the other things that they announced was improvements to the wallet. I'm not going to go over everything that they announced, because specifically in the wallet, it's not really that drastic. And also improvement to the maps. One of the improvements that they show is that in case of public transportation, it'll show you what you will have to spend in public transportation. And if you have a transit card, it will let you know if it's low on balance, so you can go ahead and refill that. One of the other updates that they will be bringing to iOS 16 is better parental controls and make it easier for you to create or configure or set up a new device for your children. If you, for example, buy them an iPad, just bring your phone as a parent closer to that device. You will now see everybody that's in your family, and depending on who you want to configure it to, you can go ahead and have it configured. If you have time limits for apps, everything will be automatically configured in that new device. You will not have to reconfigure everything all over again. So that is actually a very nice improvement that they had. One of the other nice things is that you will be able to share albums with up to 5 people. I reviewed information on their website. They don't specify if this will go towards your iCloud storage space or anybody's space. They didn't specify, and they didn't even provide a limit of pictures, so we don't have any more details regarding that. So I hate leaving you guys like that, but honestly, I did check on the website. If I can, I will be giving you that information for you guys to be able to see it right now. There's not a lot of details yet, so apparently they haven't figured out how that's going to work. Anyways, they also will have a new feature called Safety Check. This is actually very nice. For those people that are in abusive relationships, you will now be able to keep track of who you're sharing and what you're sharing with either a person or a particular app, so you can be able to turn it off and on depending on what's going on with your life, and for you to be able to stay safe. That is actually a pretty good idea. That is just one way of you being able to, if you want to cut ties with somebody, you just do the whole thing and, forget about the rest. Improvements to the Home app. I'm not going to go into details about this either. It's not worth it. They created yet another uniform system, but they created one before. They said a lot of companies were going to get into it, yet it never happened. One of the good things that they announced regarding the Home app is that now you're going to have all your rooms all in one. And everything is going to be right there on the home screen, instead of you having to switch room by room if you have different things in different rooms. So that's actually a kind of welcome thing. The other thing that they announced, which is really interesting, was the update to Apple CarPlay. Just so you guys know, this will be for future vehicles, and they even said that in 2023 is when we are going to start hearing what vehicles are going to have this feature. But we do know that with the advancement of technology, most gauge clusters and a lot of other areas on a vehicle have become screens. So what this new Apple CarPlay update will do is it will completely take over those screens, so you have one uniform experience. You don't see one thing on your gauge cluster and another one on your radio, and vice versa. You will even be able to control either your temperature, your AC speed. If you have ventilated seat or heated seats, you will be able to control all that without having to get out of the CarPlay system, which is what you have to do right now, and go into the actual vehicle operating system in order for you to be able to change those things if that vehicle has that capability. So that is actually a very, very nice feature to have, that everything just has one uniform look. It all looks Apple-like. I don't know what this means for the Apple Car, but it can't be good. Anyways, let's continue with watchOS 9. This was the most depressing update for me. The only things that I found interesting was banner notifications, which I honestly don't need. I prefer when I get a notification to be able to see everything on one screen and just give me the time on a corner instead of me just looking at my watch face in a little window, which I can barely read. Not that I'm blind or anything, but anyways. The other thing that they announced it on watchOS, but it's also going to be available for iOS 16, is a medication for you to either keep track or remind yourself when you need to have a medication. This is actually a very good idea. For example, I happen to suffer from atopic dermatitis, or eczema is the same thing. And every 2 weeks, I have to take an injection of Dupixent in order for me to be able to control my symptoms. So I will now be able to use that once it comes out, and it will remind me every 2 weeks that I have to take my medication. Also, I will be able to keep track of every other thing that I use, just in case there's something that conflicts with what the Dupixent does. Supposedly, when you search for the medication that you want to take, it will let you know whether it will conflict with anything else that you're currently taking. Or if you're drinking alcohol, for example, it will tell you if it affects that. Anyways, the next thing that they announced, this is where it started to get kind of big. They did announce the Apple M2 processor, and obviously with the M2 processor come new devices. Let's talk about the M2 processor first. It will be based on a second generation 5nm process, which all the rumors were saying that it was going to stay at 5 nanometers. They claim that it will have 20 billion transistors, so in order to give you that better capability. It will have up to 24 gigabytes of unified memory. For those we discussed before, if you don't remember, this is the equivalent of the RAM on any other computer. So it will have 24 gigabytes. It will have an 8-core CPU with 4 high performance and 4 efficiency cores. So when you're doing video editing or picture editing, it will use those high performance. And when you're browsing the web or watching something, a movie or something, it will use those 4 efficiency cores in order to give you the best battery life possible. They claim that it has an 18% better boost in performance than the M1. That's what they claim, so we'll just have to wait and see once those reviews start to drop. They will also have a 10-core GPU, which is 2 cores better than the previous version, and they claim that it will have up to 35% better performance in graphics. So again, we'll just have to see. With the new processor came new devices. The first one that they announced was the redesigned MacBook Air, and I have a few things to say about that one. It will have a 13.9-inch screen, and it will start at $1,199 for those of you who are interested. It has a MacBook Pro-like design at the 14 and 16-inch. It will have that design, so it will bring MagSafe 2, 2 Thunderbolt ports, and a headphone jack. And yes, it will have the notch. So if you didn't like the notch, too bad. You get a notch on this one. If you want it, you need to buy it with a notch. Anyways, it will come in 4 colors, thankfully. Silver, Space Gray, which is their version of black, Starlight, which is their version of gold, and Midnight, which is the really dark blue color that they have. No weird colors, as I just said, thankfully. And most importantly, no white keyboard. I used to have the old wireless keyboard that Apple had. It was a white keyboard. I constantly, every time I saw that it started getting a little dirty, constantly washed it. I gave up on the idea of washing it because it comes to a point that those white keys, no matter how much you clean them, they will get dirty and it's nasty. So thankfully, they didn't add white keys into the laptop because uh, that was gonna be a bad claim to Apple. Every time you kept using your keys and then, oh, it's dirty and it won't clean off because you can't use liquid around the computers. Obviously, they will get damaged. So I don't know how they were gonna propose that you clean them off and get them back to this nice white that they were supposed to have. Also, no white bezels, thankfully. And they also, for whatever reason, brought back the MacBook Pro 13-inch with the touch bar. For those of you interested, all 5 of you, just kidding, it will have a price of $1,299. This one does have fans, unlike the MacBook Air. It will still be fanless, the MacBook Air. I have no idea why they still have one device with a touch bar when they basically eliminated it from the other 2 systems that they had. So it's like, yeah, on the other 2 MacBook Pros it doesn't exist, but it still exists in this one, and it doesn't exist in the MacBook Air. So I don't know. Anyways, for those of you interested, they said it will be available next month. They didn't specify when though, so that is a point of concern. Let's continue with macOS Ventura. That will be the new name for the operating system. One of the things that they announced, they called Stage Manager. It's a new way of Apple creating a multitasking system. I will not go into details of it right now because it's kind of weird looking. I'm going to have to play with it a little bit to see if I actually like how it handles. But I like the different desktops as a better option, at least from what I can see of how it is. Anyways, I will tell you why they reinvented the multitasking in a few minutes. Continuing with what they brought with the new operating system, they also created this feature called Passkeys. Passkeys is Apple's idea to replace passwords on websites, etc. You will create one uniform system. They want to create this since older devices have either Face ID or some other type of biometric system in order to be able to recognize you. Then it will use that as the basis. It will create a password that not even you will know, and it will store it for you. If you go to a different device and you want to log in, it will have the option of reading a QR code, so it'll send all the information privately. It'll just confirm that it's you, and it will log you in. I don't know how this is going to work. Some of the things that they showed were kind of flimsy, so we'll just have to wait and see when those features come out, how it works. They also announced this system called Handoff. Handoff is an old system. What they did is that now FaceTime calls will come to Handoff. You know that if you're in a FaceTime call, there's no way for you to switch it over to your either your Mac or your iPad. You have to hang up and call back on the device that you want to continue the call with. Well, now, once you get your phone close to whichever device you want to take it to, it'll ask you if you want to pull that conversation over to whichever device, and it'll automatically, magically, as Apple always does, do the process for you. Also, the other thing that they announced that I found important was that you will finally be able to use your iPhone as a webcam on your Mac, which, you know, the iPhone cameras are much better even than the newly updated 1080p cams from the new devices. So that is actually a great thing. You'll no longer need to use a third-party app. Like, for example, I use Camo, I think it's the name of the app that I use right now. You won't even have to unlock your phone. I don't know how they said it, but it will work magically. We'll just have to wait until those system comes out in order for us to be able to try it out. Next, they talked about iPadOS. And now we come back to the Stage Manager, because Stage Manager will come to iPadOS, sorry. It will come to iPadOS. It's better multitasking that the iPad did before, but it didn't look quite multitasking. There were a lot of rumors saying that they were going to bring macOS-like features into the iPad. That is not the case. All they did was recreate or reinvent multitasking in a new way. You will be able to kind of resize windows and stuff like that, but it's not an actual completely different thing. It's just, it looks kind of weird. It just looked kind of weird. Anyways, from the other things that they announced, finally you will be able to connect your iPad to a display, whether it's a monitor or a TV, and you will be able to get it in full screen. No more black on the left and the right side of the display that you are connecting to. You're going to be able to enjoy the full screen experience of that device with the new iPadOS. No proper ejection for peripherals. If, for example, you connect an external storage device, most of the times people were complaining that you disconnected it and you went to connect it to a different device and it said that it was corrupted and you needed to reformat and lose everything that you just transferred into it because there is no eject button on the iPad. Still no eject button. So sorry for those people that were waiting. And for me personally, I was expecting the Today View to come back. That also did not come back. If you like this video or if you have any comments regarding everything that I just talked about, I'm sorry for the length of the video. It was a lot of things to discuss. Go ahead and leave your comments down below. While you're down there, smash that like button, subscribe, and smash that bell so you can get notified when we have new videos. I want to thank everybody. I finally reached 200 subscribers. I want to thank everybody for your support. Keep supporting me. As I've said before on previous videos, if you have a Google account, Gmail, you have a YouTube account, sign in, subscribe, help us grow. I will really appreciate it. Finally arrived to those 200. Thank you for all the 200 subscribers. Remember, we're available on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and obviously YouTube at J.R. Abrams Tech, so you can stay up to date with the latest news and rumors about tech. Until next time.